The American people bankrolled the war on terror in Afghanistan and Iraq by an estimated $2 trillion. The president set September 11th, the 20th anniversary of the terror attacks, as the deadline to pull out of Afghanistan. But the Taliban didn't wait. Echoes of Khe Sanh, Hue, Tet. The parallels to Vietnam for many seem difficult to ignore. The fall of Saigon in April 1975 showed America's scramble out for all the world to see. President Biden said the exit from Kabul would not be harried. That apparently is not the case. Joining me on the morning show is Nancy Soderberg, former UN ambassador to the United Nations and currently visiting scholar and director of the Public Service Leadership Program at the University of North Florida. Good morning.
Good morning.
So the president finally addressed the issue yesterday afternoon. Did he adequately help us understand the logic behind the decision to move when he did and successfully explain the plan moving forward?
Yes, on the former and not on the latter. President Biden has been very firm that he does not want to hand this longest American war to a fifth president. He was very involved in the decision to go into Afghanistan after 9/11. For the viewers of Jacksonville, we are in Afghanistan because of 9/11, where the Taliban, the very same Taliban, gave safe harbor to Osama bin Laden as he planned and executed the 9/11 attacks, which killed over 3,000 Americans 20 years ago. And we went in to get bin Laden, ousted the Taliban, and tried to build democracy for 20 years. And President Biden, whose own son had served in the U.S. military, just was simply not going to hand it to a fifth. And he was very clear about that. But I think there's many questions. How did we not see that the Taliban was going to fall so quickly? Where was the failure of intelligence? Why was there no will whatsoever for the Afghan army to defend itself against the Taliban threat? The Taliban has been waiting in the wings for this day for 20 years. And on the anniversary of 9/11, we will have the Taliban flag flying over Kabul and the government that we helped build. So it is just a tragedy of enormous proportions that we will spend a lot of time figuring out how did we get to this just tragedy.
And how about discussing America's overarching goal in fighting the pernicious terrorism that challenges the global community as a whole?
That fight goes on. Apparently, President Trump made a deal with the Taliban, which said they will not let terrorists back on Afghan soil. We'll see if that holds up. The other piece of concern for Americans and the world is what's going to happen to the women and girls of Afghanistan. They were forced out of the workforce, not allowed to go to school. And overall human rights abuses of the Taliban were legion. They would behead people in the square and just execute people, cut off their hands. Just one of the absolute most horrific periods in that history. Is that all going to come back again? So the international community, I think, first of all, wants to make sure they do not become a hotbed of terrorism. And secondly, how can we join together and try and protect the women and girls? There's no easy answers here, and it's just absolutely heartbreaking to see these scenes. So number one, we're trying to get Americans out. Number two, we're trying to get those who have worked with the United States, both the contractors, there's a huge international community there that was helping to build peace and stability there. All of those people need to get out. That's number one right now. There are planes and charters. Countries around the world are taking them. I'm working today in Kosovo, and Albania, and North Macedonia has agreed to take some of these refugees. So that's the current focus, but there will be a lot of Monday morning quarterbacking going on, like how did this tragedy happen?
Is the worst yet to come? And if so, what does the U.S. have to do to mitigate it?
That's the big question. Look, we had 5,000 troops in Afghanistan. Everyone, I think, agreed that it was time to come home. But if you look around the world, we have 30,000 troops in South Korea. We have another 50 in Germany. They've been there for generations. Is there some kind of international presence that would help keep the lid here? Is it too late? Can you turn the clock back and try and retake some of these cities? I don't think so. So yes, I think the worst is yet to come. I think having the Taliban in government in Afghanistan 20 years after 9/11, nothing good will come out of it. So my heart goes out to the people of Afghanistan who tried so hard over 20 years to try and build a stable society, and in the end didn't have the will to fight it. And I do not understand it, quite honestly, but these pictures are just heart-wrenching.
Nancy Soderberg, as always, I appreciate your insights. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Jen.